If you tend to feel that you are anxious, or it's like there's a needy mess inside and no one ever taught you how to communicate your feelings without overwhelming or scaring a partner off, especially an avoidant one, then you're going to want to stick around for this segment. Because today we're going to talk about 3 tips for communicating with an avoidant partner and how to know when it is time to really call it quits. So through these 3 tips, we're going to talk about how to take a personal inventory before you go in guns blazing. We're going to explore a blueprint for expressing yourself honestly and non-defensively. We're going to talk about how to hold your boundaries and determine if it's time to call it quits. And I'm also going to give you 4 steps to keep the dialogue going in an empathic and equally validating way. Now, if you've been feeling kind of twisted or muzzled in your relationship because of a debilitating fear of scaring your partner off, then the goal of this video is to give you a roadmap to help you build a deeper connection to your partner or to finally let go of a relationship that is no longer serving you. So definitely you want to stick with me until the end. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Brianna McWilliam, and I am a licensed and board-certified creative arts therapist, author, and educator with more than 15 years in the field, helping adults struggling with insecure attachment go from self-doubting to self-sovereign so they can attract those soul-shaking, passionate partnerships that they want without having to talk in circles around their feelings for hours or even years on end with no tangible result. Today, I'm going to be sharing a clip of a live stream event that took place inside my private Facebook groups, which people can access once they've purchased one of my online courses. If you're interested in finding out if you might have insecure attachment, check out the link in the caption of this video. You'll be able to take an easy 4-question quiz and find out your attachment style, plus a detailed explanation. Now, if you like what you see and hear, and you haven't yet, make sure that you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. I put out videos once or twice a week, and sometimes I will do occasional live streams through my YouTube channel, and I wouldn't want you to miss out. So this one I'm going to call 3 tips for communicating with an avoidant partner. How can I communicate with my avoidant partner without coming across as critical or too needy and scaring them off? Now, my first tip is that before you go in guns blazing, you need to do your own personal inventory first. So before communicating with a partner that especially has an opposing attachment style than you, I recommend exploring a step-by-step process for getting at what I'm going to call the deep structure communication, so as to avoid as many miscommunications as possible. So deep structure communication is the emotional contact that you're looking for, not the defensive verbal spew that usually comes out of our mouths. So first, you want to ask yourself, what are you imagining that you are going to say to them? So I would have you write out the specific statement fantasy in your mind, right? What's the first thing that comes to mind? Then you want to think about, what do you hope that that statement is going to accomplish? So this is the action or behavior that you hope your communication is going to inspire in a partner. You really have to ask yourself, are you trying to maneuver them in some way? And then you want to ask yourself, this is number 3, what do you intend? Now, this is more the emotional motivation behind your communication. This is where we start getting closer to the deep structure communication. So what emotional need do you think that desired action you're trying to get them to take will fulfill? What would that gratify for you? Does that gratification stem from someplace deeper within you that you might benefit from looking at first? Okay. Then assume your partner's perspective and take a guess at how they might experience the statement you're planning to make. And I would have you write down all of the possibilities. Then go through each one and notice your emotional investment in each possibility, because that's going to inform you of any subconscious agenda that you may have, which your partner will pick up on. Okay? And you're going to write down all the emotions that are coming up for you, each and every one in detail. Lastly, I would have you consider now, having gone through this process, how might you rephrase that initial statement to be more emotionally honest? And I would have you write down those new possibilities. And I would have you repeat steps 1 through 5 until you feel like you have become totally aware of your subconscious motivations and agendas. and then proceed with what feels like the most authentic action to take and or statement to make. And realizing that you may not get the outcome you want, the outcome that you might still be hoping for, and you're still allowed to hope for it. But you might realize that maybe you won't get that response. But also understand that that is not nearly as important as the process that you just went through, okay? Because now you are less attached to the outcome. Now, that communication, in and of itself, may be what you need, right? Being able to say what it is that you really want and need. And how they respond may become irrelevant in comparison to the importance of the process. Now, the second tip is to rephrase your language in a way that is honest, but not accusing or overly reliant. Now, it's more about what you are wanting in general than about how you are getting or not getting something from that person specifically. So a lot of partners communicate their needs from a defensive position and they do not realize it. So then when they try to offer an emotionally honest I feel statement, for example, it comes across as critical. So for example, you're a rotten jerk. Now someone says, well, you need to express that as an I feel statement. Okay, I feel mad that you're a rotten jerk. Okay, that's not a proper I feel statement. A proper I feel statement follows a particular blueprint. The first thing I would have you do is notice your complaint, and usually you're noticing a lack of something. When you notice a lack of something, shift the focus to realize that when you notice a lack of something, what you're actually experiencing is a desire for more, okay? So instead of I don't have enough of, you say, ooh, I love this and I would like more of. Very different vibrational signature, okay? Then you express appreciation. So this is how it might sound. In your mind, you think I'm not getting enough of, and so then you utter, hey, you know what? I would like more of something. You express appreciation because you do it so well. You express how you feel. I feel so great, wonderful, XYZ, whenever that happens. Then you express what you think about that feeling. And you know what? I really enjoyed that feeling. I think it's great. Then you emphasize how important that is to you. And it's important to me that I feel that more often in this relationship. You might also express curiosity. How do you feel about it? And then invite a co-creative process for problem solving. Because, I'd love your input. Maybe together we can come up with some solutions that would satisfy both of us. Okay, so I'll give you another example. Let's say this is a more contentious situation. I feel disrespected and I don't like feeling that way. Then I feel angry because I worry that I'm losing my connection with you and that feels unsafe. In relationships, I love feeling reassured and close to a partner, and I like knowing and feeling that my partner wants to spend time with me. It's important for me to experience more of that in this relationship because I really like what we have. When it's good, it's great. And I'd love to explore the possibilities with you and want to know more about your feelings and input about it. And then be silent. Be silent. Don't guide them on how to answer you beyond that. Don't try to fill up the space with anxious chatter or try to anticipate their answers. The less you say, the more impact you will have. And your job is just to keep a poker face and show no emotion at this point. And why is that? Because here you're letting them know that you are opting into this relationship. It is your choice to stay in it or to leave. And you are making that choice based on a knowledge of who you are and what you want, and they can either join the party or not. Now, this allows you to appear independent and self-possessed, which is actually really attractive. But if you push it too far and you say something like, if you don't do this, then I'm gonna leave you. Now that sounds like a tantrum. It sounds like an ultimatum. It comes across as controlling or petulant, and it's going to have the opposite effect. Now, it might sound like I'm splitting hairs here because it seems like the same sentiment is being implied, but I assure you, how you deliver this makes a world of difference in communication. Because implying that you can leave anytime you want is very different than making a show of threatening to leave in order to get a reaction. Okay. Now, in this case, you are respecting their separateness and an ability to decide for themselves if the closeness that you want is the closeness that they choose for themselves as well, which means that they won't feel like their personal freedom is being encroached upon. Now, in essence, you just created an opening for them to provide an honest answer. And if they can't respond to you honestly, then that's really important information for you. And you'll be able to tell that they're not able to respond honestly because they will deflect, get mad, try to say that you're making everything about you. They might get passive aggressive or find a way to leave the situation without acknowledging what you said at all or sharing anything about their feelings. And if that's the case, then it is time for you to honor your boundaries and stick to your guns. So if instead, however, you slump into an anxious mess and you start beating yourself up for thinking that you somehow could have controlled the situation better if you had only done or said something differently, realize that you are now in survival mode, okay? You are in a survival mode response. And then what happens is you wind up texting them 24 to 48 hours later saying, sorry, I guess I got a little intense there, huh? Probably too much too soon? No worries. I get it. And then you go back on everything you just said. Now, if you do that, I love you so much. If you do that, you will have violated your own boundaries. You will have destroyed their respect for you, and you will let them know that you are a pushover, which means that they are driving the boat. And if they like that, you will forever be at their beck and call, and more boundary violations are sure to follow. If they don't like that, then they'll probably ghost you, or they'll find a way to sabotage or piece out of the relationship as soon as possible. Now, if they respond in a way that falls into an ambivalent gray space, they're either testing your resolve or they just genuinely don't know yet. If you are certain yourself, then it is time to make yourself scarce. And this is not because you're trying to punish them or force an answer, but because you need to do a personal inventory and decide if you have reached a threshold where ambivalence just doesn't cut it anymore. And they may genuinely not be the right fit for you. And so what does that look like? Well, I recommend cutting back your contact with them by 50% and to see them maybe once or twice in a 2-week period. Go on a vacation with your friends, meditate, make art, go on a hike, sequester yourself in nature. Go smash dishes or throw axes at your local wrecking club. Ask yourself how long you are willing to wait for clarity or certainty and put a number on it. And know what you want before they say anything. Do not volunteer information about your life or your plans. Do not over-explain your absence. You do not owe them explanations. The more you explain yourself, the more you weaken your position, and it appears as though you are putting on a show to get their attention. So in this case, less is 1,000 times more, and they will get the message, and you will finally get the truth. Now the real question is, can you handle the truth? Can you handle the truth? What if ambivalence is the truth? Now, my third tip is to be sure that you keep the dialogue going in an empathetic way, and that includes 4 steps. Now, if they decide that they are going to engage you with an honest dialogue, I invite you to try to keep it alive by expressing mirroring, validation, empathy, and curiosity. So mirroring is a process of accurately reflecting back the content of the message that is sent by your partner. And so this is in essence paraphrasing. So this is what I hear you saying. Let me know if I'm way off base here. Validation. So validation is communicating to the sending partner that the information has been received, right? And you mirror it back in a way that makes sense to you. So that means that you're able to see this information from your partner's perspective, okay? And letting them know that you accept it and that it is valid. So you might say something like, well, it makes sense that you would feel that way and I can see why you're struggling with this, okay? Now, if we are to express empathy, this takes it to a deeper level of communication that attempts to recognize, reach into, and experience the emotions, your partner's emotions, as opposed to just reflecting on it as a cognitive exercise. Okay, so Well, while I don't necessarily feel the same way about that specific thing, I really know what it's like to struggle with feelings when around something that's important to me. And I can empathize with you on that level. And then express a curiosity. I would like to know what support that you need from me. And I'll do my best because I care about how you're feeling. And, please let me know how I can help you. Now, I would add, since we're framing this in terms of approaching an avoidant partner, under no circumstances should you respond with any of the following statements. And these were identified as particularly triggering for avoidant individuals on a survey that I conducted with over 200 respondents. There are 5 of them. The first one is, I know what you're really feeling. Why won't you acknowledge the truth of what we really are? Number 2, you wouldn't say, need, or do that if you really loved me. Number 3, nothing's wrong, I'm fine. Number 4, if I have to ask, it doesn't count. Number 5, needing privacy means that you are lying or cheating on me. Now, before I wrap up this question, I just want to emphasize one important myth that a lot of individuals fall prey to. And that is that people tend to believe that emotional honesty is going to lead to understanding, and that understanding leads to agreement. But the truth is, that is not always the case. Okay? You can understand someone and completely disagree with them. And if your partner has an attachment style that is in conflict with yours, particularly an avoidant partner, what I like to call a rolling stone, then it's likely that they will find new ways to create and maintain the same amount of emotional distance and proximity between you. Okay? Now, if that is the case, then it requires addressing the conflict between you, not just on the level of communication, but also independently. You both need to be working on the internal space. It is possible that as you are working on your own internal space, you can raise your vibration high enough that they feel inspired to join you there, but it's not your responsibility. Okay? It's something that they have to assume for themselves, and you have to honor your boundaries around that. Okay? This is a deep emotional wound that both partners need to be in dialogue with on their own, as well as in the partnership. Okay? So I hope that those help. And again, if any of this resonates with you, I would love to see a comment there. Even if it's on the replay, you can type #replay. And, if there's more content to be explored around this, we can explore that.